Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I got started a little bit later this morning. Had some kid baseball stuff that I'm dealing with. It's summertime, so I am like shuffling these kids around. I'm throwing baseballs to them. They're going to camps. Baseball has been my life for years now, it seems like. I'm tired. My arm hurts. My arm's tired. All right. Before we get going here, I wanted to let everybody know, link to my sponsor, which is linqto.com. I just went and checked to see what some of the things they had of private equity they have available as of this morning. These are just a few of them that caught my eye. They've got Ripple equity, they've got Cerebras, Anthropic, which is AI, Stripe, Uphold, Kraken, Patreon, BitGo, Chainalysis, Axiom Space, iTrustCapital, Glint. Those are just some of the private equity that are available as of this morning, so go check it out. All right, on Squawk Box, everybody was all freaked out about the pullback. The pullback over the last few days or whatever. I mean, it kind of stabilized, and I know XRP went back up some, but once again, all of it was related to the Mt. Gox Bitcoin that is apparently going to be potentially sold when people get their Bitcoin back or whatever. And also Germany was going to sell a bunch of Bitcoin. Well, here they are on Squawk Box because they have to, anything Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana, they are obligated to talk about it.
I mean, there are times when Bitcoin can actually be an indicator of what to expect in the NASDAQ or just the risk-on trade.
Yeah. Correlations have been pretty high, too, recently with the NASDAQ 100 and Bitcoin. And then you start to think about them all as these risk assets, right, more broadly. But, of course, the NASDAQ just keeps going and going and going, and Bitcoin has broken some support. So the 60,000 level is what we were watching. And it's not a major support level, but it resolves a trading range to the downside that suggests that we'll see more corrective price action. Next support for Bitcoin is roughly 51,500. So still some downside from here, but still within a long-term uptrend. We're big believers of just having a small percentage of a portfolio in Bitcoin, almost regardless of the price action. We still want the long-term trend on our side, but almost as a call option to take advantage of the upside long-term.
You think? I mean, there are times when Bitcoin can actually be an indicator of...
we won't listen to it again. And then there was this from Bitcoin Magazine. While Germany's selling Bitcoin, ETFs saw 384 million in inflows last week. Are you paying attention? Well, yes, I'm paying attention. But my gut is screaming at me about something with XRP. Right now, I'm seeing things that... I mean, right now, anytime the market I've told you, anytime the market has gotten really, really slow, my experience in crypto is that's when something just crazy happens and things go off. And we've been in this doldrums lately, but I'm starting to see things about Ripple and about XRP, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm starting to get this, have we been watching a movie feeling? Just pay attention to this video, folks. And then there's this, Bitstamp will aim to distribute Mt. Gox Bitcoin as soon as possible once it arrives, okay? But then Bitstamp, who Ripple owns a portion of, tweets this out this morning. I took this picture of the moon last night, XRP. Wonder why Bitstamp would be tweeting something like that. And then we've got Smoke. How long is the implementation process to get started with Ripple? 3 weeks. 3 weeks is all it takes to get a bank's back-end systems integrate with Ripple once crypto regulations are passed.
Which I think should be quite comfortable for you. How long is the implementation process to get started with Ripple?
Yeah, so typically we look at about a 2 to 3 month basis from start to finish. A lot of that is part of the onboarding process. So we go through a credit review process. We then have an onboarding process. That's relatively straightforward. In terms of the technical integration side, it can take between, I'd say, probably 1 to 2 months. That includes things like testing, integrating into the system, and just general process. I think the fastest one I've ever done was probably a 3-week implementation, which was very fast. And probably the slower ones hit that sort of 3-month mark. But it's as fast as you can put resources into making it happen. And we're here to support that.
Okay, well, that's a good lead into the last one.
Okay. Then we have this. Now, this is interesting because, first of all, let's remember, I know Robbie Mitchnick tries to never speak about his time at Ripple, and if he does, he tries to refer to it as, oh, that was an intern over there. But it's always been curious to me. So you're the only person with Susan Athey, who was on the board at Ripple. You're the only person who's ever done what the XRP community considers to be the one legitimate analysis or XRP price valuation. You're the one guy that's done this, but not only will you not talk about the fact that you spent time at Ripple, whatever it was, you also won't ever bring up that valuation, but you'll talk about Bitcoin all day long. That's fine. Meanwhile, look at this. He's heading the BlackRock digital assets, by the way. Meanwhile, Circle says this.
The second is that there are regulations that stipulate the kinds of reserves we can hold. Because we choose to be regulated, we hold these reserves in the safest possible instruments. This is as close as you get to government-backed or government debt money. The Circle Reserve Fund, which is a fund that is issued and managed by BlackRock, the world's asset manager, holds almost 90% of the reserves. These are held either directly in short-term U.S. government bonds or in overnight repurchase agreements over-collateralized by U.S. government bonds. So the 85+% is this sort of U.S. government-backed risk. The remaining, in this case, I don't know if this is perfectly up to date, $5 billion in cash is almost entirely held with multiple global systemically important banks. And these are the banks that effectively have been designated to have the full support of the governments that back them. So this is an incredibly safe infrastructure and the most transparent in the world. And I'm not just talking about in the stablecoin market. We believe that we are more transparent than any financial institution ever. We provide daily visibility into substantially all of these reserves through USDXX. Search it on Google. You can see the daily, every single security instrument that backs USDC.
Oh, yes. Now check out Ryan Selkis. I've declared independence from the SEC and its corrupt chair, Gary Gensler. In the months ahead, Messari will be operationalizing a war against its illegitimate and corrupt agency. The draft below will be polished, improved, then sent to the SEC and Congress. This guy's getting hardcore. I love it. I'm not going to read all of this, but I am going to, let's see. I wanted to read the part where it says, oh, here it is. The U.S. Securities Exchange Commission is no longer a serious or respectable federal agency. Its current chair is corrupt, counterproductive, and feckless. Its usefulness is, at best, questionable thanks to modern technologies, and most damningly, it seems to exist solely to benefit itself and its federal employees rather than the citizens it is charged with protecting from fraud and abuse. The markets whose health it is taxed with monitoring and improving, the entities which it is supposed to foster capital raising. If you go down to here, look here, it says, the SEC's approach to crypto is ineffective. The agency's current approach to crypto markets has failed to identify costly alleged frauds at FTX, Celsius, Genesis, and other U.S. market participants, while its legal cases against legitimate actors such as Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, he never mentions Ripple, SEC Chair Gensler is not only incompetent but corrupt. His inability to articulate anyway. Bottom line is that Ryan Selkis is a man on fire. Check this out, folks. Well. Japan has released new banknotes. Look, and for those of you that don't know, SBI Holdings has, like in 2016, bought like 10.5% of Ripple. Okay. Look what image is printed on those notes, the Japanese new banknotes. Did Satoshi know? This is a book, and I don't know the history of this book, but I remember this book being displayed. We'll show you in a minute by who. Wave and Ripple. Look, reminds me, it also reminds me of that cartoon movie. Wade, what was his name? Wade Ripple and something Lumen. I mean, it's crazy. There's so many, it's like there are psyops going on everywhere. So, and the book is supposedly by Satoshi Nakamoto. And then this is the new Japanese currency with a wave, very similar to that wave. And what is that? Is that a moon? I don't know. But anyway, let's look at this tweet. So here's that currency. Here's the book. Does anybody remember this tweet from, what is that, November 2019? Is that how that date works? My daughter always gets me the coolest shirts for my birthday, and he has that book sitting right here. And this look, I remember when, I don't know if this is when David Schwartz went to Japan, because he went to Japan at some point. That looks like maybe a Japanese design. Then we got this, Jim Rickards.
Again, notice what the BRICS are doing. They've copied the World Bank. They've copied the IMF. They're duplicating the Bretton Woods structure on their own. A lot of this goes almost unnoticed, but these are very important initiatives. They're also building a fiber optic undersea telecommunications channel so they can bypass channels like SWIFT and other payments channels controlled by the West. So they're building their whole network financially, structurally, and in terms of physical infrastructure. And this has been going on for a long time. It's not as if the BRICS are making some headlines lately, but it's not as if they just woke up last year and said, oh, let's do something significant in the monetary system. They've been working on this for over 15 years. By the way, we focus on the BRICS Leaders Summit, and that's important. They have over 100 meetings per year. They have subgroups on agriculture, climate change, women's rights, athletics, et cetera. So this is a very well-developed organization with an expert secretariat that continues to grow.
Okay, very interesting stuff. Now, in DAIXRP.com, we're going into the All the World's a Stage file, because there's no question in my mind that part of what we've been watching is a movie. We've been watching psyops of all kinds in crypto. There's no question about that. We've been watching, I've always believed that there were about 1,000 people in crypto that were all kinds of three-letter people and whatnot, but that 1,000 or so people were in the know, and they had information about the larger plan that the other ones of us did not have. And I've always believed this, and that I believe that ETHgate and a lot of that stuff were some of those people that had that knowledge, knowing that they had X number of years where they could game the system and make billions. And I believe a lot of them were at best shady characters, at worst corrupt and criminal, a lot of what they did. So, but we're going to go in the All the World's a Stage file to see, have we been watching a movie? I think partly so, minimum partly so. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.